Hi, my name's Jacob Dobbinspec, and I'm not famous, but I know someone who is. So my story kind of goes like this. I grew up in a Christian family, was born into a Christian home, went to church every Sunday, went to Awanas, went to youth group, all that, but I never really got any of it. And so, for a while, really what I struggled with was doubts, and I felt like I had to constantly ask God into my life to make sure that He would be there every day of my life. And so I really struggled with that for a while, and especially while I was in Awana, and constantly every night ask God, hey, come into my life, save me, let me go to heaven. And it was like that for a while. And so because of that, I couldn't give you a specific day where I became a Christian. I can tell you that I definitely am a Christian, but there's no specific day, no specific point where I was like, yep, now I'm a Christian. And so I really struggled with that for a while, and there's not really a specific time where I kind of got out of that. I guess it was through stuff happening in my life, through seeing God work. I think that was the big thing. I saw Him do things into my life and in the people's around me, the people's lives around me. I saw Him do things that really probably shouldn't have happened, or would be surprising when they happen. And things like my church, our youth group, was really small for a while, and all of a sudden it started to get really big, and our church split, and somehow we were still able to grow and have gotten bigger in the past couple months actually. And I think the biggest thing that's happened to show me that God is definitely working in my life is a while back my dad was driving his car, and he was listening to this CD, and it was a guy talking about how if your family is struggling in their faith, you got to find a way to scare them and to get them excited about their faith. And so my dad was like, you know what, we got to do this. We're going to go on a missions trip, and I'm going to just go home and I'm going to walk in the door and be like, Kim, which is my mom, we got to go on a missions trip as a family. And then he thought, you know what, that's not necessarily a good idea. My mom struggles with anxiety. My brother struggles with anxiety a lot, and they're not very good when they're away from home. So he's like, all right, that's not necessarily the best idea, but we're going to see what happens. So he goes home, he walks in the door, and my mom comes up, and that same day, we were homeschooled, so we were all at home, and we read Voice of the Martyrs a lot. And we read about, I forget what country it was about, but we read about this country, and we were like, you know what, it'd be really cool to go on a missions trip. And so my mom came up to my dad, and she was like, I think we need to go on a missions trip as a family. And my dad was just like, all right, well, that turned out better than I thought it would. And from that point, it was a matter of, all right, now where are we going to go? And we had a couple places we were looking for a while. I think it was 3 years ago when this happened, and we hadn't quite decided. But being missionaries and working with a company that does mission trips all over the world, all over America, all over Europe, Asia, everywhere. So we were like, all right, we'll be able to find something. And so we were looking for a while, and finally we decided we were going to go with our ministry we were with, Campus Crusade for Christ. It was Student Venture, was the company specifically. And so they had a couple different mission trips. They had one to China, they had one to Venezuela, they had a couple in Europe. So like, all right, this one in China sounds really interesting. And we had actually known one of the guys who was running the mission trip, so we were like, oh, it'd be so cool to go hang out with this guy. I can't tell you his name because it's not safe for you to know now that you know he's in China, but we thought, it'd be really cool to go to China and hang out with this guy and get to see his ministry and see how God is working. Well, that mission trip to China was about $30,000 for a week. And we were like, that's really expensive for a really short amount of time. We're not going to get to do a whole lot. So that kind of took that one out of the picture. And that was the one I was really excited about, because I know China's a really cool place, and there's lots of different things there that I wanted to see. And so we were like, all right, well, we can't go to China. So next we were like, all right, well, Venezuela's a pretty easy place to share your faith. We'll look into that one. And we were looking into it. We felt like that was where we were going to go. And then my mom learned that there's a lot of child predators there and people who like to kidnap other people. And specifically, the most targeted people are blonde American girls who were 10 to 15 years old, which is the same age as my sister who's blonde and American. So we heard about that and we were like, well, that's not so great. That kind of cancels Venezuela out. We were like, yeah, my mom was like, no, my sister, or my daughter's not going there. Her daughter, my sister. And so we decided to look at some other ones, and there actually was a couple in Europe. And the one we finally decided on was a mission trip to Hungary. And honestly, I think that's the best decision my parents ever made for what we've decided to do with our summer. We ended up, the mission trip was expensive. It was $30,000, I believe, for a whole family to go. So that was amazing. I think that was the biggest thing. The fact that we were able to go on that trip was amazing. Our family's not rich. We don't make a lot of money being missionaries. We're self-supported missionaries, and we're funded by other people donating money to us. So it was difficult. It would have been difficult for our family to say, you know what, we're going to pay for this. And the fact that we were able to send out letters to churches, to other Christians we knew, and they sent us money so that we could go on that trip. And it was like, wow, God really wants us to do this, because we couldn't have done it on our own. And then when we got there, it was really difficult because my sister ended up with, and she was just messed up when we got off the plane with like jet lag, and it was really hot when we got there. I think the capital city of Hungary, Budapest, was like the second hottest city on the planet the second or third day we were there. It was like 90s, and there's no air conditioning in Europe. For whatever reason, they're against ice and they're against air conditioning, pretty much anything else cold. So we were all sweating, and we had this real intense training we were doing to like learn how to share our faith and all sorts of different things that would help to prepare us for the next 3 weeks. And it was really difficult. That was the hardest week of the project because we were doing so much with like real short breaks, and it was really hot, and my sister was sick, and so that didn't help. And she was really like, oh, I don't know why I came. I really want to go home. And so that really kind of bummed out. It actually was affecting a lot of the people in the project, her having such a bad vibe about it. But it all started to look up. Emma got better real quick. That was great that she was able to get back to normal quick and started feeling better. And it finally peaked for me when we started actually working. What we did was we were teaching English, or helping to talk to students in Hungary in English, so that they could use their English skills and become better English speakers. And it was great. The first group I had was really well. I got to share my faith through my testimony. I got to share my faith through this diagram we learned, and I got to use this book called Knowing God Personally. And getting to use that and to be able to feel comfortable sharing my faith was the real key. For the next 3 weeks after the training, we were sharing our faith almost every day with these 4 or 5 kids that we would get to hang out with for a week, and then it would switch to another group of kids, and then another group would come in the third week. And so we got to hang out with them, we got to build a bond with them, and we got to share our faith with them and tell them about Jesus and what He's done for us. And so through all of that, unfortunately, I don't think I ever saw any of the kids in my group become Christians. There was one guy the first week who said he was a Christian already, and he felt like he got connected to God, and I thought that was really great. And there was a lot of other kids who were like, yeah, 5 of my girls became Christians today. Or one of the guys in my group is really interested, and I think he's going to accept Christ on this trip. I didn't get that, and I was really feeling sad about that. But it was really great getting to talk to some of the staff. They're like, you're not here to make converts. You're here to go out and talk and leave the rest to God. And that's how we made that impact. I think overall we shared the gospel with our group of Americans that were there and a group of Hungarian students that were there that were already Christians. We shared with over 5,000 people in a 1-month period. That was amazing. And not all of them became Christians, but the fact that we went out and we just said, God, you know what? We're going to just go and we're going to see what happens, and we're going to let you do the rest. And He did. And we really got to see, I think there was a couple hundred people that became Christians that we know of, or that I know of, that became Christians. That was really cool. And so I think what I'm really trying to say is, I had all sorts of doubts. But when I saw all that happen, there was no doubt in my mind that Jesus is my Savior, and that without Him, there's no point for me to live. And now I'm able to live for Him, and there's amazing things happening, and I still have a great time doing it too. And so, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not famous, but I know someone who is. And that guy is Jesus Christ. And He will do amazing things for you and through you.